and let me know when we're live.
Looks like we're live.
Great, great. Okay. We are welcome to the first non-organizational meeting of the Labor Subcommittee. We're here today to take up Bill HB 536. There is one technical amendment to the bill, and I'm going to turn it over to Kyra. She'll give a brief summary of the bill and then present the amendment.
Hello, everyone. So HB 536 expands certain protections against employment discrimination based on an individual's disability, to include those temporary disabilities caused or contributed to by childbirth, menopause, or related medical condition. The bill generally incorporates childbirth, menopause, or related medical condition into statutory provisions that govern reasonable accommodations that are required based on disabilities caused or contributed to or by pregnancy. Under the bill, related medical condition includes lactation or the need to express breast milk for a nursing child, and the need to manage the effects of vasomotor symptoms related to menopause. And then we have one technical amendment, and the amendment adds related medical conditions under the section to page 3 in line 3. And what effect that has is to expand the ability for an individual to request a reassignment within their position if the job is strenuous and has an effect on the related medical condition.
Thank you so much, Kyra. So in essence, the amendment adds the other conditions that are amended elsewhere in the bill. There's one place that was left out, and that's when it said for the duration of the pregnancy, but since we're adding other conditions, we needed to cover that as well. We had to make sure we got the wording right, because we didn't want to say for the duration of childbirth or the duration of menopause, because those are different potential time periods. But what we really wanted to get at is the duration of the medical conditions related to those. Does anybody need to see the language for the amendment? We did send it out. Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All right. No discussion. Oh, all right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I didn't see any opposed. Is there a motion on, or do we have any discussion about the bill before we move the bill? All right.
You have hands raised.
I'm sorry?
You have hands raised.
Oh, I do. There we go. Delegate Chisholm. Thank you.
I guess my question, I don't know if the sponsor's here or not, but when we're talking about menopause, the childbirth stuff is all fine. I don't know how much this aligns with the ADA law now. And then when we add menopause, are we now saying that menopause is a disability, knowing that 60 to 80% of women experience menopause? And then what kind of accommodations are small businesses going to have to provide at that point? It just seems kind of ambiguous to me, but I don't know if somebody can answer those questions.
Thank you so much for the question. I do not think that Delegate Smith is here. Charles, she's not in the waiting room, right?
She's not.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn over to Kyra and to ask if she can answer the question about the ADA. But regarding menopause, the intent is that it should be conditions. There are certain symptoms that menopause can cause. The one that is listed under related medical conditions is hot flashes. I know there was some testimony with concerns about how businesses would adapt. I think that there are potentially some very simple adaptations, such as providing a fan or ability to take breaks to step out where it's cool, things like that. And Kyra, did you want to add anything to that, or do you know about the ADA question?
So with respect to the ADA, disability is defined with respect to an individual with a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities of the individual. There must be a record of the impairment and or being regarded as having such an actual or perceived physical or mental impairment, whether or not the impairment limits or is perceived to limit a major life activity. And so in this case, the impairment, of course, and even under the bill, the impairment would have to be documented. And I believe the employer also has the option of offering, like you mentioned, Chair Ruth, an accommodation that's reasonable and within their means to provide.
Did you have a follow-up question,
Yeah,
Delegate
that's
Chisholm?
all. I mean, that's all understandable. My concern would be, okay, now we're asking small businesses to allow them to then leave work every time this happens rather than making accommodations. And that's why I asked about the ADA, because I don't think the ADA actually defines menopause as a disability. So this would be going beyond federal laws, I guess what I'm getting at, unless I'm wrong.
Kyra, do you know the answer to that?
I will have to circle back on this one just to double check.
I think
But
But
the
I don't
lawyer
see,
knows.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that our lawyer in the committee might know.
I do know the answer, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Delegate Stewart.
Sure. I appreciate the comments from Delegate Chisholm. Thank you, Madam Chair. So first, the bill is consistent with the framework of the ADA because it uses basically like that same structure that employers already use, which is that first you have a reasonable accommodation, then you have an interactive process between the worker and the employer, and then you have protection for the employer against what's called undue hardship. So this models the ADA's exact same language and exact same approach. So employers should already be familiar with this. Secondly, to be clear, the bill does not declare menopause itself to be a disability. It treats temporary medically significant symptoms related to menopause the same way we already treat pregnancy or recovery from surgery, which is to say that it treats them as temporary conditions that may still require reasonable accommodations. So we're not saying that people who were pregnant, people who had a surgery, people who have menopause, which again, as Delegate Chisholm very correctly pointed out, represents large percentage of the American population. We're not saying that they're disabled. We're simply saying that they still need reasonable accommodations like disabled people sometimes need. Now, so it does not redefine that disability, and it uses the existing accommodation framework. The second question is, or I guess the third is what are small businesses going to have to provide? The key protection here, which is already existing law, is the undue hardship standard, which is already Maryland law, it's federal law. And so basically, if an accommodation is too costly or too operationally disruptive relative to the size and resources of the business, so small businesses obviously have fewer resources and a smaller size. So relative to the size and sophistication of the business, if the accommodation is too costly or too disruptive to operations, the employer is not required to provide that accommodation. So usually accommodations that meet that standard of not being unduly hard, have an undue hardship for the business would be like maybe adjusting work hours slightly, maybe short rest breaks, maybe a fan or temperature control, maybe modifying certain duties like temporarily, but the employers would not have to like create a new position or fire anyone or promote someone who's not qualified or anything like that. And like to the point lastly about like, are they going to have to like let them leave work whenever they have menopause symptoms? No, there's no like open-ended right to like walk off the job. Leave would be one possible accommodation, but it would not be like an entitlement. And there would have to be like that interactive process between the worker and the employer to come up with what's reasonable, and you still have the undue hardship standard. So for a small business, I mean, I would say that allowing someone to leave unexpectedly all the time because they get a hot flash, that would clearly significantly disrupt the operations depending on that business, especially if you only have like one or two people that are, say, like manning a store or something like that. So with a small business with like limited staff, that would clearly disrupt operations enough that the employer would not be required to make that kind of accommodation. And also I'll point out too that employers can require under existing law medical certification for this. So this is not like a self-diagnosed, like informal leave process. Employers are already allowed to ask for like a health provider, a healthcare provider to certify that an accommodation is actually medically advisable and to indicate how long that condition may continue.
Thank you so much, Delegate Stewart. Delegate Chisholm, did you have anything else before I go to Delegate Tarasa?
No, that was perfect. He wrapped it up for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Delegate Tarasa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really, Delegate Stewart really answered all of my questions and more. So I would just say that I really think this is an important bill. I'm really glad to see it. I mean, I'm thrilled that she thought of this. I would not have, but it's about damn time is what I guess I'd say. Sorry to all the other members of the committee, but I think it's really an important bill. And but I don't have any questions anymore. They were answered.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Any other discussion or is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay, thank you. All in favor of the bill as amended?
So I
Yeah.
believe we have to do a roll call vote.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
We do?
Okay.
So am I, do
We
you want
do?
me to do the call?
Sure, we'll get a clarification on that for the next
Okay.
meeting, because I have been in subcommittees where we only do
don't
roll
have
call
to.
when it's controversial or when there's concerns, but
Okay.
it's probably a good idea to do it
Just
for
to
our
be
first time
safe.
anyway. So would you
Gotcha.
mind?
Sure. Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Siliberti,
We can't hear you.
You're muted, Delegate Siliberti.
I think I can read his lips, but
Yes. Yes.
Delegate Schindler,
Yay.
Delegate Solomon,
He's not in the waiting room, is he, Charles?
he's here. He's here. He's
here.
trying to
He's
unmute himself.
No, I just couldn't get my phone to recognize me. I was in the waiting room to try to get my computer on, but yes.
Delegate Chisholm. I'm sorry, Delegate Stewart,
Yes, I wish I looked like Delegate Chisholm.
Delegate Tarasa,
Yes.
and Delegate Ruth, the Chair Ruth, excuse me.
Yeah, Chair. Do I vote? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, then I vote yes. All right, thank you all. That's all we have today. I just want to add to please respond to me about alternative times, because this time is just going to get more and more difficult as the floor sessions run long, as they did today. So we want to set up an alternate time. It's kind of looking like setting up something on a Monday would be best, but I've had responses from a couple of committee members, but not from everyone. So please respond on that.
My apologies, Madam Chair, but can you tell me where we're responding? Like, where did you send us that?
I sent an email to the public email accounts.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will ask Charles to resend that, just so we can everybody, it's at the top of, because if your inboxes are like mine, it's impossible to find anything anymore because there's so much coming in. All right. I think that's it. And I will see you all in committee in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.